Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another video by Fitness Technology Services. So today is actually another request video, and I'm kind of doing it while I do the service call. So again, I'm going to apologize for my bad editing, but I'm going to do the best that I can. So this is a flywheel change. It's very similar to my other video on changing the flywheel. I just had a request for this because it's a little different on the 2016 models and up. This will kind of cover the 35, 55, 95, 25. They all kind of have the same steel cable and flywheel configuration. The difference really with them is the weight of the flywheel and the smoothness and the amount of resistance that the flywheel creates. All right, so I'm not going to waste your time and show you all the screws that you have to remove. I'm just going to show you that this comes out very similar to the silver one that I did originally. Not much difference to that at all. It's just oval shaped. You have to be careful how you put it back in because these hole slots are different sizes. Not really a big deal. The only other thing I want to mention is that the Phillip head screws on this side, you need a short, stubby, either something you can attach to your socket or a short, stubby little Phillips head, all right? So you got to remove these covers. When you do this, you got to be careful this arm doesn't fling out and go hit the wall and ruin your, I think on the right-hand side is a resistance up and resistance down. So you don't want that to swing out and knock you in the head. So I usually put my bag right here just to kind of protect this. I'll go over that with you when I get to that. But I just want to remove these screws without really wasting your time looking at this video, all right? So the first step is going to be, I'm going to remove all these screws. Once I do that, I'll get back with you and we'll take it from there, all right? So give me one sec. All right, so once you have all your screws removed, the covers will just flop around like this, which that's good. Next thing we got to do is remove these arms, and then we're going to remove this crossbar. I do believe most of this is 12 millimeters, but I don't have a 12 millimeter, so I'm going to use a 1/2 inch. Pretty much the same thing. So the one thing I do want to warn you about, when you disconnect this arm's going to want to fly up. So if it hits against something that's not important, then you're okay. But if you got a nice, white, clean, shiny wall over there, you don't want the arm to bang. And you don't really want it to knock you in the head. And if you let it flip all the way around, you'll break a little wire here for your resistance. All right, so just to give an example on this, I don't mean to bore you on taking those same bolts out again. Just going to remove this real quick with my 1/2 inch. Or so I think. Come on. I know it'll work just as well. There we go. Alright, took the nut off. Pushing the bolt through. And that should want to fly up like so. So I just put my bag there so it doesn't. I don't want to whack his wall. Alright, so the only thing to keep an eye on that is when you take this off, there's a little tube inside of here. You don't want to lose that little tube or spacer that's located right inside of there. You'll see it when you take it off. I got it in plenty of other videos. So we're just going to remove this. Bushing, they call it. And again, it's with a 1/2 inch. I do believe it calls for a 12 millimeter though, but I don't have one. So I'm hoping to get lucky on that, really. Put these parts over here so I don't lose them. So now we need to completely, if I'm strong enough, getting old, remove that arm right there, all right? So now with all these screws gone, we can just remove this cover. So the next thing you need to know about is you need to remove this inner screw up here. It holds the two sides of the cover. Well, I guess it just really holds the right-hand side of the cover to the frame. You don't want to lose it because then it's a pain in the butt to find it. I would normally do this with a drill, make it faster, but I don't want to lose it. Just push it a little bit. Don't lose this little washer or replace it with another one because you're going to need to get to both sides of the nut over here. And I'm even going to loosen up a couple screws on the other side. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to remove what they call a crossbar. And that's this piece right here that the disc is mounted on. So just to speed that up some. So this is the same thing. This is normally a 13, and thank goodness I have a 13. So there'll be two nuts on here, and this is the Allen bolt screw that runs through here. Never torque the Allen side. Always loosen up the nuts on the other side. Now, they call a lot of times for a crank puller or a gear puller that pulls this off. So far, I have found that to be true 2 times in 30 years. Usually you can kind of wiggle it. So the inside nut happens to be a little tighter. And so far I haven't even need to touch the Allen screw, bolt, whatever you want to call it, that runs through. So let's just see if that, yeah, see? Usually they're not pressed on all that tight. Weight of it, the other arm on the other side is turning it around. The other thing you want to be careful of, don't lose this little piece of keyway that goes in here and holds this crossbar nice and tight. All right, so I'm going to put that bad boy right over there. Put that right there. All right, so we remove the screws. We've disconnected the arms. Here's the flywheel. We got to take tension off of it. So I don't remember off the top of my head. Probably going to be a 13 or a half or a 12. All right, so we're going to loosen this up. I try not to remove them, really, to be honest with you. I'm going to take it to where there's no exposed threads. So count the amount of threads on that. Originally, it was 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've turned it a couple times, so it's 5. Average is, on the newer ones, 7 to 10, I would guess. Now that's going to take too long for me too. I might have to get my impact for that. Alright, so it came out of its little hole right there. So it's going to be plenty loose. I don't need to worry about that. You also need to loosen this a little bit, because that's what actually, ooh, that was tight. Frees up pressure on this pressure roller and allows it to get loose. Look at that little thing went right back in. There we go. Couldn't do that if I wanted to. All right, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove this belt. All right. And so really we're kind of down to removing this flywheel. I am going to move this out a little bit, and basically you kind of want to turn both of these. These are usually 17 millimeter, but I also have an adjustable just in case I'm wrong on it a little bit. So that's really the start. It covers off, our belt's off. We got to get to this flywheel next. Let me take these screws off on the other side, and I'll get back to you on that, all right? I'll be able to show you the view from the other side too. Hang on one sec. All right, so after you've loosened the cover, remove the crank, cross arm, whatever you want to call it. Loosen these up to where you have some play in here. You want to make sure you set your resistance on your gear motor to maximum. Not that it's going to be maximum resistance on you, but it'll give you the most amount of slack on your cable, so you have more room when you take this off. So I'm going to do that real quick. Let's start. Now usually when you're at the lowest setting, the little white pulley head will be at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to run it down to where it's like 7, and that's level 20. All right. Then I'm going to turn it off so it stays there. And we don't really need power to anything for this, so I'm going to unplug it so that we're safe. All right. So it's unplugged now. All right. So that's going to give us enough play. Next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need a number 15 on this side, and I don't have enough room for a socket over there, so I'm going to hold that side with an adjustable wrench. So I'm going to back you up a little bit so you can kind of see this. That's pretty good, I guess. At least as good as I can get it. Tilt it down some. Don't want to tilt it down that much now, do we? Alright, so you can see that pretty good. Alright. So, and you don't really want to loosen this side up fully, because then this side will just kind of spin freely, and that really won't do you any good. So I'm going to kind of get in your way. I don't know how to do this without getting in your way a little bit. So that's not open enough. Open my adjustable up just a little bit. All right, so I'm holding the nut on the other side, which I know you can't see, but I can't really get at an angle where you can do both. So I'm going to loosen this side a little bit. Not too much. Then I'm going to loosen this side a little bit. Sometimes you got to hold this flywheel still so it doesn't spin while you take this off. All right, not much I can do, guys. So you just want to have both of these nuts fairly loose. This one's loose. And this one's loose. Loosen it a little bit more. Forgot to mention it's best to clip this little tie wrap right here. All right. So next thing we're going to do, I'm really going to get in your way. I expect a lot of complaints about this, but this is a request video, so I'm doing it for somebody. I am just doing it. It's very similar to my other one if this is not understandable. All right. And move the belt out the way. Give me enough slack. So now what I need to do is I need to disconnect my cable to the flywheel. So that pulls right through there. Can you see that? Okay. So we're going to kind of just pry this off. Nope, can't quite do it with my finger. So I might be able to do it with this little Phillips right here. It's not really pry, it just pop it out, really. It's not that hard to do. Yeah, as I can't do it. So come around here. See, it's got to go over that little pulley right there. And then it connects right down to that fork. This is also basically the same video for changing this style cable. Not too much different than the other one. The only difference is this is mounted. If it's facing this way around 7 o'clock, the older style was around 3 o'clock over here. All right. So again, it's got to go over this pulley, but you'll see that when I put on the next one and into this set of teeth. All right. So when you get your new flywheel, yeah, you can see that it doesn't come with these little stop nuts. So that is kind of important that you pay attention to where they are, so you're not struggling with it too much when you go to put it back in. All right. So we're just going to take these off. And the one on this side is pretty much all the way up to the top. And it's too bad I can't get these bearings. I'm always replacing these flywheels. And I think the only thing that's wrong with them is the bearings. I mean, the cables and all inside snap sometimes. And I'll show you this in 1 second. So this stop nut is all the way up to the top, all right, to the actual bearing. On the other side, though, if you look at it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threads out. Not super important, but you don't want it to have too much back and forth play in it. All right. So we're just going to put this, hopefully, at a camera sight. I'm going to put this all the way up, or at least pretty close. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So I know that this should sit kind of around 7 o'clock. I'm going to loosely put these back on. All right, so this is the next part. Really is the tricky part if you're trying, like me, not to take the whole other side apart. I did mention I'm on a service call, so time is always important to people when they're spending money on me. So I'm going to put this little head right in here like so. Or so I think. Then I'm going to make sure I go over that little pulley. I'm going to pull it back some. If I'm strong enough to do that, I should be able to. And pop that bad boy right there, okay? So there's the end result. This is kind of the same procedure as doing the steel cable. I said I wanted this to be somewhere around 7 o'clock. That's kind of where that is. So I'm going to just take this right here. All right, so the next thing I got to make sure is that I got the little belt on here. Now I'm going to have to put this flywheel back. So I would definitely get you away on that. It is what it is. See, so it won't fit in because I am off a little bit on my set screws. So I'm going to take this one down to 3 or 4. Almost, almost. All right. So I know that I want this right around 7 o'clock. Gonna lightly tighten these two back. My belt is still on the right direction, so that's good. All right, so let's just snug this up a little bit. Run my wrench or socket the right way. That's a good start. All right, shouldn't need to tighten this up too much, but a little bit. All right, so that's a little snug, so the inside of it won't turn on me. And that's pretty much it. So we're now going to reverse the things we did. I'm going to put this back in place. I'm going to run this belt, or at least so I think I am, around the outside here. That's not working very well. Why is that? Come on. Okay. Now, I usually like to take the belt from the bottom around on the top instead of on the top around to the bottom. Just seems to work easier for me. You can try it both ways if you like. I like to get the belt on as much as I can. I'm going to slightly turn it. It should, if possible, walk on just like that. All right, so I'm going to turn it some to make sure it's fairly straight. I guess very straight would be better. Make sure it's in the center of this pulley head. Pulley itself. Okay. So I usually like to rotate it and let the other side kind of drop a couple of times. So I know it's nice and straight. So this is now in the center groove. There's one groove here, two grooves there, but it's perfectly straight here. So I'm going to say that's good on that. I'm going to lightly tighten this back up. Not fully tighten because I still got to tighten this down, and this allows this to have a little flexibility. All right, so I'm going to speed things up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I said 5 or 6 was better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Belt feels fairly tight. You don't want it so tight there you can't deflect it a little bit. So that feels pretty good right there. I guess it's time to tighten these things. I don't know where that went. Look here. So that's fully tight. I'm going to get in your way for 1 second again. So that's tight. All right, so I'm going to just take a little peek down inside of there and make sure that the actuator is, you know, close to 7 o'clock, really. Yeah, it looks like it's more like 6 o'clock, but I think that's just perfect. The cable will still move smoothly. Yeah. So 6 or 7 o'clock looks like it's perfect for that. I haven't put the little tie wrap back, but you can tie wrap that back to here. I do believe. By George, I do believe that is a flywheel install. So again, very similar to the other, I think it was an E35 I did my other video on. The only difference is the actuator, the thing that pulls the flywheel back and forth. Oh, it's at 6 or 7 o'clock down here, and the other one, the cable came down, and it was like 3 o'clock over here. But in theory, it's really about the same job. Don't forget to put this little screw that goes back through here. I thank you all for viewing this video. I think that's going to be it for this one. If you need more detail, you can see my original video on my full channel on Fitness Technology Services. And I do believe I show the cover. I think the most detailed video I have on taking different pieces apart is changing this incline controller down here. They're all kind of the same as far as removing the covers. Some are a little more involved in the details, but that's really about it. That's all I'm going to do for this video. It's really just too similar to the other E25. So that's it for installing the flywheel on an E35. I guess, you know, like a lot of people say, put it back as you took it apart. But I got so many videos on putting it back. You can search through my channel and find the video where I actually put it back. I'm just afraid at this point, you know, doing the same thing over and over and over. I don't really want to bore any of you guys, all right? So thanks a lot for viewing. That is definitely going to be it for this video. And I look forward to doing another one with you, all right? Thank you. Oh, yeah, please subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that. You're always supposed to say that.